Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nombuso Makosazana Makubane. I am the Marketing and Communications Manager for the National Film and Video Foundation. I'd like to thank you all for joining us this morning for a very special occasion. Today we'll be sharing with the rest of the industry what the SWIFT team has officially come to introduce today, which is our Industry Safety Contact Officers. And they will elaborate more on what the role will be, how they will be serving the industry, and how we can best benefit from this initiative. A lot of work has gone behind making this day a success, and making sure that everything happens according to plan. And with the assistance of the SWIFT team and the NFVF team, you will be able to leave the day feeling very assured that we're winning against the fight for gender-based violence. At the moment as a country, we are commemorating the 16 days of activism against women and children abuse. And as the NFVF, we are completely behind it. We support this initiative and we overtly fight against gender-based violence and sexual harassment. Sadly, these topics are not a new thing for us, and they affect the film industry as well as our South African audiences. It has become a norm to hear in the media headlines against sexual harassment on set and even beyond. And the statistics show us that a woman is murdered every 3 hours in South Africa. Because of the awareness we have, earlier this year, we partnered with UN Women and GIZ, Step It Up for Gender Equality in South Africa, and a research project was launched called Towards Gender Sensitivity, Storytelling in South Africa and Entertainment Media. It was hindering on enabling factors which are more gender sensitive and non-stereotyping content. Basically, we are aware that content that we view could be biased towards gender sensitivity, and we wanted to get a better understanding. The study did help us get a better understanding on the challenges that we face as an industry, like GBV, but it also highlighted opportunities we can explore with a big focus on making sure we are all gender sensitive in the type of stories that we tell and show on our screens. Although we recognize the need to overtly promote more gender-sensitive content on screens and minimize the stereotyping role, the national body is also mandated in the audiovisual sector to ensure that the behind the scenes of each stories are also aware and support the progressiveness of the programs. So the initiative that SWIFT has embarked on is a feeder to ensure that in instances of violence, there is help available and we work towards minimizing the number of victims, if not eradicating them totally. And because we will share the safety officers, it will also highlight consequences for bad behavior. So people will know they cannot get away with treating people badly. It is also very important to know that we cannot be government or entities such as SWIFT to create change. It's our responsibility as the entire industry and players to be accountable for shaping the world of film and setting the pace for how we want the world to turn out to be. And in shaping the small but big industry, it's important that we support SWIFT with officially introducing the Industry Safety Contact Officers and their fight against the abuse on sets and awareness that goes a long way. I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce Usisanele Mthembu, the CEO of SWIFT, and her entire team, who will then be taking us and introducing us to the SCOs, the roles that they're playing, and the expectations that we have going forward. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, sorry about that.
Mascot.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you very much for joining us this morning for a very important discussion to give you a progress report on where we are with our fight against sexual harassment in the South African television and film industry. I'm joined here today by my two colleagues. And before I introduce them, I really want to thank the NFVF for the partnership that we've had with them over the past few months, in fact, years. The National Film and Video Foundation has supported SWIFT and specifically the code for good practice in handling sexual harassment in the workplace, and have included it in their contracts and ensured that they promote it and actually include it in the contracts that their recipients or funding recipients sign with them. So thanks once again to the National Film and Video Foundation for your support. I will then move on to introduce my colleagues. To my right, I have Sarah Chitambo, who is the SCO, Safety Contact Officer Project Manager for SWIFT. She's also our spokesperson, comms person. She really wears a lot of hats, and that's how we work at SWIFT as volunteers. We are dedicated individuals, committed to ensuring that women advance and grow and develop in our industry. Welcome, Sarah.
Thank you, Zanele. Good morning, everyone.
Thanks, Sarah. And to my left, this is Temoso. Temoso, I have always forget your surname, Temoso. Apologies about that. Temoso has joined us as SWIFT, as one of the safety contact officers who are participating with us in the Safety Contact Officer Pilot Project, which we will go into detail about during this session. Welcome, Temoso, and thank you very much for being with us this morning.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Zanele, and thank you everyone for having me here, as well as my fellow colleagues, my fellow also, safety contact officers. I know they are watching, and they're here with us. Yes.
Thanks, Temoso. Yes, we have more safety contact officers, and I don't know if we'll be able to connect with Pinky, who is in KZN, and Sarah will give us a bit more on the safety contact officers later on. In total, we have 6, 2 in KZN, 2 here in Gauteng, and 2 in the Western Cape for the pilot project. So are we able to connect with Pinky at all at this time, just to introduce her before we get into the discussion? Okay, let's see.
Hi, Pinky.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Pinky. Morning.
Hi, Pinky. Good morning to you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Will we be able to see her? Okay. So Pinky is in KZN. She's our safety contact officer in KZN. And these ladies, 6 of them, have been with us since October as part of the pilot project. And we've had such a overwhelming response from production companies, and we think that there is a realization now that this is real, that this is not just about finding your voice. Yes, find your voice, but then where do you take your voice? You know, where you can get help. And that's what the industry has been waiting for. And that's what we're going to talk about today. That definitely find your voice. We have a place for you now to report any complaints and to be assisted. And it's very important that the industry joins us in this initiative, because this is not a SWIFT initiative. This may be SWIFT, excuse me, driving. Ooh, what is happening?
SWIFT
I suppose
driven.
COVID is in the air. Excuse me. Excuse me. This is not just about SWIFT driving the process. It is about the industry embracing what we are doing, taking this on and ensuring that we collectively, as Nombuso said earlier on, we collectively create a safe working environment for everyone in this industry, particularly the women and the disadvantaged and the vulnerable, rather, in our industry. Without further ado, because I see that we don't have Pinky yet, we will go into the discussion around the safety contact officer.
Hi.
Oh, hi, Pinky.
I can see. I'm glad you can see me now.
Yes, we are happy that we can see you, and we are grateful that people who are online and in the room with us can also see you. So if you can
Okay.
just maybe say something, Pinky, so that we show that we can hear you and everyone can hear you. Introduce yourself, perhaps.
Hi, everyone. My name is basically
Okay, so I
Her
think we're a bit
line.
of a... Okay, we will solve that technical difficulty, but we're grateful that we can, in fact, connect with Pinky, who is in KZN. We'll then move on to talk about the safety contact officer. This is our pilot project, and we would like to thank GIZ, who the German Development Agency, through the support of Maximilian Vogt, who unfortunately has gone back now to Germany. But we have also with GIZ Lukolo Matomela, who are project managing this project. They have come forward, they've supported the project, and have been with us from the development of the project up until this point. And we really appreciate their support. We would also like to thank the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture and the partnership that we have with them in getting this project up and running. So we'll move on to, do I point it? Okay. I think without any doubt, we all subscribe to what Shelley Sandberg had to say, that we do need a world where women don't get sexually harassed. Full stop, period. That's it. That's what we want to do. We want to create an environment where sexual harassment is non-existent. We do acknowledge that we still have a long way to go towards that, but that is the goal. We will continue to push forward. We will continue to do what we need to do in order to get to a point where that safe work environment is created for women and vulnerable individuals in our industry. Oops, sorry. So what is SWIFT all about? I think we've become known over time as the sexual harassment organization, because basically that's what we've had to deal with. We are the only organization really that is exclusively focused on women in the industry, the upliftment of women, the development of women in the industry, creating, advocating for women in front of and in behind the camera. We're advocating for parity in the industry, race parity, gender parity, and particularly pay parity. We know that we can never achieve any of these things without creating awareness, educating people about sexual harassment, and working towards eradicating sexual harassment in the workplace. So that's what we have been advocating for. And it's important to note that we have really stayed on this point. And sometimes people think that SWIFT is all about sexual harassment. But it's important that we do eradicate it. As I've said before, that without a safe working place, we cannot even begin to talk about parity. We cannot even begin to talk about development of women. We cannot begin to talk about representation of women in the industry unless we have an environment that is safe. So that led us to the development of the Safety Contact Officer pilot project, which is really a culmination of the research that we did as SWIFT, that spoke to creating a vehicle that will address sexual harassment in the workplace. As freelancers in the workplace, we do not have the benefit of the Labor Relations Act protection through the CCMA because we have contracts. We don't have those benefits like employees do. So the Safety Contact Officer project came about to address that gap in the industry, to say, where do I go as a freelancer in the industry if I have a complaint of sexual harassment or discrimination in the industry? And that's how we came to training and development of safety contact officers that are independent, professionally trained individuals that offer psychosocial support as well as legal support in the industry to individuals that have complaints on sexual harassment, helping them to know what to do, how to go about it, how to get help when they have complaints. I know that we, as I've said, we cannot progress in this industry without eradicating sexual harassment and violence against women. We have to improve the work environment. And this is not only confined to sets. We are talking about the safety of women and vulnerable individuals in the industry in all corners. Whether you're working in the edit suite, whether you are on the set, whether you are in the production office, whether you are on a big production or a small production, as a freelancer, we are working towards creating that safe environment for you. Safe from harassment, safe from, being forced to do things that you do not want to do, being silenced or being victimized for speaking out. That's what we want to deal with in our industry. So SWIFT has done a lot of work since its inception in 2017. Sometimes it's hard to believe that official formation in 2017. It's only been really 3 years, but there's a lot of work that has been done in terms of educating and creating awareness on sexual harassment and discrimination. What we did is to initiate or come up with a campaign, which is the hashtag That's Not Okay campaign. And as part of that campaign, we ran a pledge where industry took the pledge at the SAFTAs 2018, where we took that pledge. And I hope we still remember what that pledge is, and we can honor that pledge to say that we will not stand by and not report sexual harassment. We will not stand by and not assist someone who needs assistance. We will not participate in perpetuating sexual harassment in our industry. We will get into the pledge later on, but that was the first thing that we ran. We partnered with Actors Spaces, and a lot of our actors came forward and read the pledge and made the pledge. And all of that information is on the SWIFT website, where you can go and see what has been done and what the pledge is all about. We also then developed the Code of Good Practice together with lawyers in the industry. And the Code of Good Practice is really about how to conduct ourselves. And it's directed mainly at production companies. And we're encouraging production companies to adopt the code so that we already set the tone on our sets, in our productions, in terms of how to conduct ourselves when we are on set. And ensure that individually we do not participate in sexual harassment. We produced a sexual harassment guide, which is available on the SWIFT website, and that will be posted, our website will be posted online, where you can go and find these resources and read what is in these resources so that you are aware and educated about what sexual harassment is and what you can do about it. We also offer sexual harassment workshops to production companies, and those you can book through SWIFT. And the safety contact officers, and Temoso will go into it later on, have been doing the rounds, going to different production companies to do the sexual harassment impact sessions, which are about educating about sexual harassment so that we all know what it is, what it looks like, how it presents itself, and what we can do about it, what we can do about the complaints that we have. We've also done PSAs. We've produced PSAs, and we'll watch some of them later on. And these PSAs are based on real-life events, real experiences of individuals in our industry. And they show us exactly what sexual harassment looks like and how it presents itself in the industry, so that you can recognize it. I mean, we can never, from now on, plead ignorance when it comes to these things, because there are consequences. And with the implementation of the safety contact officers,
yes.
safety contact officers, there will be consequences for our actions, because we are really serious about eradicating really this scourge in our industry. Okay, so over to, I don't know, is it running?
Finally, a breath of fresh air to revive the show.
You seem a little lost, though. Come, let me show you where wardrobe is.
So this is our wardrobe room.
Someone will come and help you shortly. I'm so happy to be working with you.
I'm not comfortable with this, okay?
What do you mean? What did I do? Evan.
Please leave.
Bafo,
Ian, man.
uyizwile inkosazana ukuthi itheni? No negotiation.
Bravo.
Wait, allow.
Okay.
Guys, none of these are going to work. If this is going to be a hit, we need the right lead.
It's so demeaning to pick a female lead this way. But people pay to see pretty people on screen. We need someone who's blatantly attractive, né? Someone like Drew Barrymore, but local and much, much younger. Okay. Someone like Lebu.
Lebu?
Yep.
What?
She's pretty but ordinary looking.
No, boss, I don't think I'd be the right
Work
one
with
for
me
that.
here, work with me. We need someone with Lebu's eyes. The secret is in the eyes. Everything is plain, but the eyes say, come hither. If we can find a girl with Lebu's boobs, that will be fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah. That's what I want. Mine is the pregnant belly, of course.
Nandi.
Yes.
Ka! I'll go come shush. But I don't really believe you want this girl.
You've wanted her forever. Now this is your chance. Get close to her. We want chemistry. Ushu. Got that?
Reverse positions.
Okay, I think we can all just take a moment to really reflect on what we've seen. As mentioned, these PSAs are based on real life experiences of individuals in our industry. Even as we sit here today, at this time, at this moment, there is someone out there who either doesn't even think or is still in denial that what they are doing is sexual harassment. And that is not okay. So we are here to say the time for all of us to really address this with the seriousness and the urgency that it deserves has come. And in fact, is long overdue. We do need, as an industry, to respect one another. We do need, as an industry and as individuals, we need to participate and not be on the sidelines and plead ignorance about what is going on our sets. We now have a place where we can go and lay our complaints and receive assistance. It is not up to SWIFT. Yes, we are driving the initiative. We want to make sure that we're all conscientized, we're all educated, we're all aware of the scourge in our industry. That's what we're here for. However, it is each and every one of us that can contribute towards changing this environment. We've heard, many of us, that we can individually be the change that we want to see in this world, particularly in our industry. I'd like to thank the KZN Film Commission, as well as Mnet, for supporting us in creating these PSAs, so that we can see for ourselves in living color what sexual harassment looks like, how it presents itself. Demuso will go into detail later on to talk about sexual harassment, to explain it and unpack it a little bit more. I really plead with everyone that is watching to join SWIFT to fight against the scourge and to ensure that we are each one's brother or sister's keeper, because that is the only way that we can end this in our industry. I am going to now hand over to my colleague Sarah, who will take us through the process of getting to the 6 safety contact officers that we have today.
Yeah. Thanks for
Over to you,
that.
Sarah.
Thanks for that and setting the tone really in terms of why this was so important to action. SWIFT has been taking place, like Nombuso mentioned earlier, on the Step It Up for Gender Equality. We took part in the Find Your Voice campaign, that the National Film and Video Foundation also did earlier this year. And I think we saw that more and more it was becoming urgent. And like you said, we needed to do something that was practical. We needed to do something and create a place where people could go and feel safe in the industry. We know that a lot of people, you're scared to go to your HOD on set, you're scared to go to the director because you're scared of losing your job. You're scared of getting labeled that girl or that guy in the industry once you speak up. So it was important to get a body or a group of people who are trained, who are professional, who are neutral and outside the film and television industry, so that they are offering a service that is neutral and a service that is coming from a place of empathy and a place of being able to provide social and psycho support, also provide counseling, as well as really having people who have a legal framework in terms of advising somebody who might be in that situation where they either have a complaint against another cast member or a member of management in a production, or are the perpetrator themselves, in terms of what is the recourse, what are the consequences, and what processes do I actually follow to get justice in the way that I see is deserving in whatever situation I'm in. So after those events that I mentioned in terms of the Find Your Voice and the Step It Up for Gender Equality in the media, SWIFT, through the support of GIZ, made a call. We did an advertisement and called for people to submit their CVs in terms of having experience in either psychology or counseling or social work. And we got quite a lot of CVs. I think that's also obviously indicative of the time we're living in. Unemployment is very high. So we got quite a large number of CVs for the positions. We were initially supposed to have 3 positions only, but ended up hiring in the end 6 safety contact officers who were then trained in the legal framework in terms of being able to respond, as well as them coming from a social work and psychology background, being able to start to do mock sessions in terms of what does it look like, what might it look like, and what is the gap in terms of being able to respond to the very big problem of sexual harassment in film and television. So these 6 people were hired and trained, and they've been on board from the 1st of October. And it's really been a process of onboarding them, introducing them to industry with events such as these, which are really important so that the industry sees and gets a demonstration of how it actually works, how they can tap into the service, and how they can actually benefit and mitigate further incidents of sexual harassment. We've seen quite a few come up in the last few months, some high profile, some not so high profile. So it's important to know that there is a service that people are being provided to resolve those issues and know that they're getting help. So we have currently in 3 provinces running the program. We have in KZN, as we saw on the line with us is Upingi, is in Durban, and they've done some work already there in Durban. We also have safety contact officers in Western Cape, serving Cape Town. You know, Cape Town is a big hub in terms of television and commercials production, so we have safety contact officers on the ground in the Western Cape. And of course, Gauteng is also part of the pilot project, which was supposed to end already the 1st of December, but we are extending it to the end of January. And we're extending that. I think the safety contact officers themselves will be able to speak about the sort of engagements they've had with production companies and going on sets and doing virtual calls. Because we're living during the pandemic, we've also opened it up that industry can do virtual sessions, so they can speak more to the sessions they've had to date, as well as what we're seeing. And what the main focus of the pilot is really to gather data and try to find a way in which, how is this going to best work? Is it a call-in system? Is it somebody who comes and sits on set a few days a week? Is it someone that people can go and do one-on-one sessions with? So that's what the program in terms of the pilot is, gathering data for us to be able to inform industry better come February in terms of how you can actually utilize this resource, how it best works, what's practical, and what is the best way to mitigate even more incidents of sexual harassment. So to date, like I said, we have 6 safety contact officers. We're hoping to expand, and the focus really is, and the aim is that industry buys into the program and is able to factor safety contact officers, wellness officers, counseling services, somewhere where people can go for help into your budgets as you're planning your production budgets. So we're speaking to producers, we're speaking to funders, we're speaking to channel wherever there is production happening to factor this into your budgeting for 2021 to be able to take advantage of this. For the safety contact pilot, we've done the sessions free of charge to industry. We opened out a call to introduce the production companies to the safety contact officers, and it is being run free of charge, but that will change because the funding is not bottomless, it's not infinite. So we really are calling on producers, we're calling on people who are running heads of department to really buy into the process and make sure that you protect yourselves by creating a culture on set that is professional, a culture on set that is respectful, and a culture on set that is aware of the boundaries which exist in order not to get into trouble for sexual harassment. So that's really where we are. The safety contact officers, we will be speaking to them now in terms of what are the frequently asked questions, in what ways can industry take a part, and they can also share the ways in which we can contact them should we wish to remain anonymous, the way we can contact them should we wish to book impact sessions on our sets. So that's really it in terms of that, and I think it's really just creating a good balance of, number one, preventing the incidents to begin with, number two, when the incidents happen, that people know where they can get impartial and neutral, independent help. And number three, really creating sets that are free of sexual harassment and where people feel free to be able to work in safety, to work in peace, to work in harmony with everybody that is on the set. So that's really, it's stopping to talk about it and starting to do something in terms of solutions for sexual harassment. So that's really where we are.
Thank you very much, Sarah, for that. I think I just want to point out a few things that Sarah has covered, is that these are now real practical steps that we have taken. We've talked about it for a long time. We've seen people coming out on social media. We've seen cases, come up in the media itself, and nothing has been done, or nothing that we've been able to do as an industry because we did not have this kind of a program where we can go and report and find the help that we need in instances of sexual harassment. So we do have that now in place through the safety contact officers, and to reiterate Sarah's words, this is a pilot project. So we really implore industry to participate, because the outcome of this pilot will inform how we roll out this project. It is meant to be something that is a permanent feature in the industry. And I'm glad that in the room we have the IPO that we've been working very closely with as independent producers in the industry, because this will help mitigate risks for producers. And I think that is important that we note that as producers, that this is a risk for us. We've seen outside of South Africa cases of Harvey Weinstein. We've seen cases of Bill Cosby and others that will come out. And now we have an outlet. So in order to mitigate risk, in order to ensure that we continue our production in a safe environment, it's important that as an industry we embrace this, we participate in it, and make sure that we work towards eradicating sexual harassment in the industry. Without much further ado, I will now hand over to Temoso, who is a safety contact officer and has conducted a few of the impact workshops, who will take you through the work that they do. Over to you, Temoso.
Okay, thank you, Zanele, and thank you for the beautiful outline that you already have portrayed to everyone else. I think Pinky wanted to start if her line is working. Pinky? Unmute.
Unmute Pinky, and then we can also put on the slides.
Yes, please.
Will we be able to? Yeah.
Hi, guys. Can you hear me?
Yes, Pinky, we can hear you now.
Thank you so much. My name is Pinky, and I'm based in KZN. I'm a professional social worker, and I am now trained with SWIFT as a safety conduct officer in handling sexual harassment in the film and television industry. I am proud to be with SWIFT, I must say, because they've taught me a lot as a woman that we need to be united and fight against sexual harassment, and also make sure that we talk about GBV and other factors that are affecting especially women in the industry. So I'm very appreciative of this opportunity. Without wasting any further time, I'll just go through my notes that I prepared, and I'll explain to you what is the Safety Contact Officer Pilot Project. We are professionals with psychosocial and counseling backgrounds. As I have mentioned, that I'm a social worker and I specialize in counseling and other traumatic events. Even though we come from SWIFT, but we are part of an independent, impartial, and confidential claims body. We are not influenced in the decision-making process, and we also value the value of confidentiality. Confidentiality is big, and we respect it a lot. Whenever you come to us to present a case, we will always make sure that we protect you. With the highest number of GBV in the world, the main focus of the project is to educate, create awareness, primarily dealing with sexual harassment. We are saying less sexual harassment before it even starts. Even if it's started, we are preventative management focused. We are trained in the legal framework and procedures relating to sexual harassment. I will also go on and talk about the role of the SCOs. We assist those in need of counseling, education, and referral for formal complaints about sexual harassment. We monitor complaints for psychological referral. We support, we advise, and we facilitate. In terms of supporting, we offer emotional support. We also offer physical support as well. I'm now going to talk about what is sexual harassment. If you can just go back a little bit, please. Thank you. Sexual harassment can be unwanted or unwelcome sexual conduct, and it can be physical, verbal, and non-verbal. With verbal, it includes sharing sexual stories of jokes, repeatedly asking someone out, whistling at someone. That is considered as verbal harassment. And there's also what we call physical sexual harassment, brushing up against someone, touching someone without consent, forced fondling. And that is also considered as sexual harassment. We also have what we call non-verbal. Non-verbal can be what we staring at someone, leeringly, sending emails of sexual intent, distributing sexually suggestive images. All of that, I must say, it is considered as sexual harassment, and it is not okay. I know that a lot of people may not be aware of such things, and they may think that doing them it's okay because they haven't been educated about them. But as SEOs, we are here to give you more information on sexual harassment. We're here to educate. We're here to create awareness so that we can just curb sexual harassment in the industry, create a safe working space for everyone. Thank you. We can now move on to the next slide. Sexual harassment can happen to anyone, anywhere, at any time, whether it's a single incident or persistent behavior. I know a lot of people might think that it only happened to me once, but you don't have to wait until it happens again. Even if it happens once, it's still considered as sexual harassment. So you have every right to come forward and report it. We also have what we call procure. So basically it means this for that. Sexual harassment is where someone with power attempts to gain sexual favors in exchange for something like employment, promotion, and so on. We also have what we call victimization of someone who has rejected sexual advances, and that is considered sexual harassment. Sexual harassment can also happen when conduct was welcome, then becomes unwelcome at any stage. No always means no, and consent can be withdrawn at any time. You might think that, oh, we were friends before, so I was used to this. So now why are you saying I mustn't do it anymore? It's about me. I am not comfortable. So there's no need for you to continue doing it, even though I am not comfortable with it, because it can be sexual harassment. Understanding consent is crucial to making sure production workplaces are safe and respectful. Consent always matters. Consent can always be withdrawn at any time. Just because it was okay before and allowed you to do it doesn't mean you should continue doing it. Consent is a big thing.
Okay.
Thank you. To the next slide. I'm going to hand over to now Demoso.
Okay, Pinky, thank you for that beautiful outline of sexual harassment. So, because her line is a little bit not working very well, so let me just give you a brief overlook of what sexual harassment is, to stress and emphasize on it. So, eventually, it can be defined as unwelcome and unwanted sexual behaviors that is offensive, humiliating, intimidating, or might cause even discomfort. Therefore, it can be a direct and obvious, and can also be subtle and indirect. And sexual harassment can happen to anyone, anytime. So I know we are busy talking about the 16 days of activism. I'm proud and glad to say that even the male part version now, you are also included in this part. So don't think that we as safety contact officers, if you see us in your production companies, we are there just for the women. No, we are there for you too, because we are actually, we are aware that you also go through sexual harassment as anyone else. That is why we say sexual harassment can happen anywhere, anytime, as a single incident or persistent behavior. It also can happen as physical, verbal, or non-verbal, such as touching, making sexual gesture, and we see a lot lately happening digitally. So we must watch out what we send other people digitally. Those emails and WhatsApping, social medias and everything, a lot of it lately is happening that side. Again, another term that seems to reflect a lot when we talk about sexual harassment is what we call the quid pro quo. In other terms or an everyday language, we can say this for that. That is whereby power dynamics comes in. Someone in a superior position gains sexual favors in exchange for things like job opportunities or promotion. So we need to watch out on that as well. Furthermore, sexual harassment can happen when conduct that was welcomed before now becomes unwelcomed at any stage, meaning that consent always matters. Again, I can say that the danger part of sexual harassment lies with the recipient more. So we need to take precautions of our actions on the other person. Taking it back now to my varsity life at School of Psychology with one of the theories in psychology, which argues that victims of sexual harassment can suffer significant psychological effects such as anxiety, sleeping disorder, weight loss or gain, lowered self-esteem, and sexual dysfunctions. Overall, sexual harassment causes a tense and unproductive working and learning environment. So this is where we as safety contact officers comes in handy. And what do we do when we are approached by such kind of actions? We play a crucial role by being supportive towards the victims. We are there to facilitate for mediation. We are there to play an advisory and educating role. That is why we have been doing all these impact sessions with other production companies. And making it further, we do also appropriate further referrals, like if one needs to take this further in the legal side, we can refer that. We can break them into such kind of services if necessary. And after the case is resolved, we don't just sit, but we also continue on monitoring what is happening after the situation. So let me take you on the process of reporting. As much as we would like to work in a safe environment, but let's say we are humans and we know what happens, especially behind closed doors or whatever. So let's say, unfortunately, one does experience sexual harassment. We have a portal, which I'll share with you later on with its details and how we work for that person to be able to report the matter to us. And I can assure you that the portal is efficient. It's like everyone has some options on how they want to report that matter. And we don't mind if you want to report as a victim or you witnessed any sexual harassment taking place, so you would like to report as a third party, for instance. So you are more than welcome to do so as well, because we do understand that it does impact on the third person as well. So how you report the matter is entirely up to you, meaning that you can stay anonymous. As I've stated earlier with my partners, and Sarah also highlighted that we are a confidential complainant body. So you don't have to worry about who's this, how of being exposed, especially if you really would like to remain anonymous. And you have two options of resolving the problem, being the informal and the formal procedure. Through the informal procedure, it entails a fully voluntary and structured interaction between involved parties. So, if I could give a typical example, in this part, we play a mediation facilitation. Let's say there is this person that has underwent sexual harassment, and then now wants to report the matter, but still wants to remain anonymous. Because usually in this part, the matter is resolved through an apology, and then still you would like to remain anonymous. We can do this through a letter, whereby the alleged perpetrator will write a letter of apology, and then we would read it for you, or you read it for yourself. And then if ever you're not still satisfied with it, we can still elevate the matter for the formal procedure. In the formal procedure, we look at what the production company has, such as the one that Swift has adapted, the one for the Code of
Good practice.
Yes, the Code of Good Practices. It serves as a beautiful outline of how to tackle such kind of cases. And please note that no complainant will be pressured to accept any option. Again, I would like to emphasize that confidentiality is highly prioritized, and every complaint is taken and dealt with as quick as possible. So, moving along. Sarah, would you like to go through the Code of Good Practice?
Yes, I mean, the Code of Good Practice is an industry-wide document that has been adopted by bodies such as the South African National Broadcasting Commission. This is a Code of Good Practice that we encourage producers, production companies, and anyone who's coming into contract with the likes of KZN Film Commission, Gauteng Film Commission, or the NFEF, that people sign this to be able to protect and mitigate the risk of exposure in terms of sexual harassment. So this is something that can be downloaded on our SWIFT website. We encourage that everybody signs into it, gets familiar with it, because it gives you the steps in terms of introducing your rights and protections, not just as a victim, but also as the person who is hiring and employing people who may be exposed or who may be at risk of this. So please go onto our website. It's swiftsa.org.za, and this is under downloads. It's a very important document which we think, we think all productions, this is the right thing for you to adopt this as a code of good practice and get familiar with it.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think it's important to emphasize, as per the slide that you show, that this code of good practice is not just something that SWIFT willy-nilly came about and drafted it. It is something that is actually supported by law, so it's a legally informed document. Even recently, the Minister of Department of Employment and Labour, Thulas Nxesi, is now looking at expanding, this act to incorporate beyond just sexual harassment, but also issues on discrimination, and all of that. So it is based in law. So it's not just a SWIFT document, it's a document that is informed by law. And I think it's important for everyone to realize that this code is very important for all of us to adopt and to know that it is backed by the law itself.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And personally, I did go through the Code of Good Practice. It is literally a good way to start. It does provide necessary information that the production companies might really need. And now, the real part now, that what happens after reporting, which we as safety contact officers are aware of the fear and of reprisal, whereby the person will be feeling left out, that especially with the culture of fear for their work and so forth, and what will people say and everything, So we do understand that the journey is tough. We as safety contact officers will be there. We will be supporting that person every way. In like, I just feel like, literally, I just feel like I see someone coming crying that this is what is happening, which is eventually something that, yes, we assure you that no matter how tough that is, but we will be there. And this is because the process has to be as fair as possible. So it takes weeks or even months, but then we'll be there with our psychosocial support, empathizing on whatever that the person is going through. And we understand that social media can be a powerful tool that is there for people to use, but please use it wisely, especially when it comes to this topic of sexual harassment. So please be careful on everything that you post. And because if the incident warrants, the person has every right to open a criminal charge. So we need to be careful with whatever that we are posting. So my last words for now, I could say that we as safety contact officers take us like we are like some sort of helpers. You can literally see us as like the helpers that most people have at home with their PPE, the personal protective equipment, which is the psychosocial plus the legislative framework knowledge that we have in assisting you through all this journey for sexual harassment. We are ready to serve, actually. That's what I can say. We are more than ready. It doesn't matter what time we even receive those emails and everything, but we are ready to serve. You can find us on our SMS line, which is 43101. 43101. Or you can email us on sco@swiftsa.org.za. Even now, anyone can test it. Just send a message. You'll see how responsive my colleagues are, because I know they are busy checking what is happening on that email and that SMS line. We are working on for anyone that needs to be called for the call line, but then we are still working on it, but you'll get it as soon as possible. We are through it. So I could say that we are ready to serve. We are like soldiers that we are prepared. Actually, we are ready. I don't know how to put this, but we are ready to serve.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Thanks so much, Temuzo. We have a question from the floor, because we do have an audience, a small audience here, not as big, but I think, yeah, please, you can come forward. And there's a microphone over there.
Thank you. Should I wait for the camera or?
Yes, please. Sure. Think he's ready.
Microphone. Okay, great. Thank you. So I'm Busabuntu or Nabuntu Bazana on behalf of the IPO. Thank you so much for hosting this. It's actually just two questions. The first one is, where do we get access to the code of good practice? Because I'm going into production next year and I want it in all my contracts for all crew and all talent. And I just want to know where I can download it and add it to contracts as an addendum.
Okay.
And then for the safety officer specifically, do you deal with retrospective cases if somebody comes? Because a huge problem in the industry is that productions are over in like 3 months or like 2 months, and somebody has to live with the trauma for years afterwards or for months afterwards, and then they find themselves on another production with the same person who harmed them on a previous production. So because you have legislative power, can they come with you with a past case, and how do they contact you besides SMS? And for me specifically, you know, do you guys make yourselves available for workshops on set before we start? What are the cost structures of that? Because I know it was mentioned that right now it's currently free, but actually going forward as somebody who advocates for safe spaces, how do I create a practice that day one, there's a debrief on set, just making it clear, in case you didn't see it in your contracts, guys, this is what good practice is about, and this is the face and the number and the person you can reach out to. So I think it would be helpful and empowering for people to know how can they really be a part of this movement and bring you on board, and maybe what it would cost if it's post-January to do something of that nature. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Sarah, I think I'll start with you on the code, if you can answer that question.
The code of good practice can be downloaded on the SWIFT website, and I know it's also on the SABC website. The SWIFT website is SWIFT. swiftsa.org.za and as well as the Independent Producers Organization website, the IPO website. Please, you can also download it over there. So that's about it. And if you want to contact, you can also just email us, comms@swiftsa.org.za, and we can send you a copy. So widely available. You can Google it, and IPO SABC SWIFT will come up, and you can download it there.
I think before we go to Temo, so if you can talk about the workshops.
Yes,
or
definitely.
The impact sessions, rather.
Absolutely. So we do encourage productions. It's great to do it at the beginning when production is started, so that already we're starting with the baseline of everybody understanding this is the culture on this set. This is what you can't get away with. This is what we accept as professional, as camaraderie, so that nobody is stepping out of the boundaries. So we definitely encourage people to do that at the beginning, and everybody is onboarded and everybody's on the same page, so that it is very easily visible or easily you can see that there are consequences when someone steps out of what everybody understands to be sexual harassment, what everybody understands to be a way which you don't behave on a certain set. So, yeah, we are running the workshops for free. I think we're running them for free until the end of February. I mean, January. Let me not get ahead of myself. So you can email us to set up a session for your cast and crew, and like I'm saying, as early as possible is great, and we can do it virtually or we can come onto the set. That's all good as long as the COVID protocols are practiced. We very much,
Okay.
And in terms of fee structures, I'll hand over to you, Chair.
Okay, I'll come to the fee structure just now. I think that this is an important question that Busubuntu has asked around reporting retrospectively. This has happened, it happened 3 months ago. How can the SCOs assist in that type of situation?
Remember, we have what we call the post-trauma stress. So eventually, even it happened 8 years ago, and now you still have to work with me, whereas I have been your perpetrator. It's still going to affect you and everything. So eventually, we are still welcoming those cases that happened years back. Not necessarily that we are going to cause, we are going to cause a conflict or anything, because somehow it might happen whereas a person does not or is not even aware that what they have done to you. That's why I eventually said that sexual harassment is mostly relied on how I receive that thing. So eventually, we do welcome such kind of cases, and we will deal with them accordingly. Exactly. I don't know if you are satisfied with my answer, but I am. Okay, thank you.
Can I also help with the answer as well?
Okay, Pinky, you can go ahead.
Please go ahead.
To answer your question, ma'am, it doesn't matter how long it doesn't matter how it took for you to report or how long it took for you to report, I'm sorry. As long as you were not comfortable with it, the conduct was not welcome. It is considered as a sexual harassment. So you have to come forward and report and say, this is what has happened to me. As SOs, we are not there to judge, to say, oh no, it happened a long time ago, so we're not going to be able to assist you. We don't work like that, but we're here to hear your story, hear your side of the story, so that you can tell us on exactly what is it that you want to do. Because at the end of the day, you have to be satisfied. You don't have to work with someone that has sexually harassed you before, and now you're just looking at them, you're saying, what if they do it again? So it's best to come forward. It doesn't matter if it happened many years ago. As long as you are not happy with what happened, you have to come forward and report it. It's up to you to say if you want to handle it the formal way or the informal way. With the formal way, you can just sit down with the alleged perpetrator and maybe he or she can apologize for whatever that they have done, or the formal way, which will include maybe going to press charges and things like that. So we advise that people must come forward. It doesn't matter if it happens many years ago. We're not going to say we don't trust you because there are no witnesses. Because a lot of people, we've seen that they've taken advantage because they are saying there were no witnesses. So we're just going to do as we please because that person can't report anything. So we're here to say we trust your story. We're going to help you. We're going to be there for you to support you and make sure that you are heard and that we end sexual harassment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pinky, for that. And I think this brings us to the next section, which is the important section of frequently asked questions when the SCOs conduct these impact sessions. And of course, this is in an environment where there's a lot of denial. We are in an environment where people don't want to really acknowledge what has been happening over time. So there's resistance to this change. Mostly perpetrators feel like they are being attacked. And that's not what safety contact officers are here for, to attack people on sets. No, this is about educating and creating awareness about the conduct and how inappropriate it is, how unwelcome it is, so that you know exactly what you are doing. And as I said earlier, that you do not plead ignorance. It's very important that we get to that point. On the frequently asked questions, I'll have a follow-up. I have a follow-up question from Busubuntu's question, Pinky and Temuso. If I come after about, let's say, 6 months and I don't, what would be the process? Can you take us through the various steps? You mentioned at some point in your presentation that there is a form or a form or something that people, complaints form?
Incident
report, yes. Can you take us through the process and how that incident reporting form, what it does or what information is needed there?
Okay, basically in the incident report, we advise people, okay, we know the way things happen that sometimes might be a traumatic experience and so forth. But for now, as we are educating, is that for people to keep records of what happened. Like, for instance, if this thing is happening now, eventually you can write it in a diary somewhere, note it down, okay, this person has done this and this and that, and then so that you can have some sort of evidence and everything. And also, it comes as a form of a way of how you are going to be able to retrieve this information, because you might eventually be taken over it over and over. So it's easier to retrieve it if you have noted it down, whether you have written it down or our cell phones are advanced these days, you can even write it there. But still, if ever probably it happened like 6 months ago, and some of the factors and the things that you forgot. We as safety contact officers, with our psychosocial support, we are able to help a person retrieve that information. And also, it contains witnesses or evidences that will support your accusation. Okay, it's called an accusation because it hasn't yet been proven. And I think, okay, Pinky, can you further add on what I've said or touch on again?
Okay, Pinky, the process itself. So I come to you as an SCO, and I want to report an incident that happened 3 months ago. Take us through the process. How do you deal with such an incident?
So what we do basically is we sit down and we advise that we draft the incident report. It's only up to if you want to remain anonymous or if you want your name to be written down. So you take us through events, so it's important for you to remember. It's not important, but you can tell the place where the incident took place, were there any witnesses there? Is there anyone who saw? Or is there any camera footage, anything like that? So those are the things that help us or assist us in writing the incident report. So it's up to you again if you want the alleged perpetrator to be here with us to discuss this thing. If you're not comfortable, it's okay also. We can do it in separate rooms where the other person also have to say their side of the story. Because remember, we're not only here for the complainant, but we're here for the other person as well. We are mutual, we are unbiased, we're there for everyone. So we're saying, let's just resolve this and see a way forward.
Okay. Thank you very much, Pinky, on that. I mean, we have some questions around particularly the reporting. I mean, one of the things that has been asked is, what if women on set are wearing revealing clothes? What do we do? How can we stop being, seen as sexually harassing other people? So those are some of the questions that have been posed in terms of sexual harassment. So what is your advice? How do you respond to such a question?
Okay.
And of course, it comes from mostly the males in the room.
Okay. We are...
First and foremost...
Okay, Pinky.
Pinky, you can go first.
First and foremost, the production company dress code should be always applied. If cast and crew are not adhering to the dress code, then a warning should be implemented by the production company.
Okay. Does that give you permission, though? Let's say I'm violating the dress code. Does it give the person who's harassing me permission to harass me, though?
No, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah. How does it work?
Okay. I feel like for now, the way I would answer this is that the best part is that, okay, it is everyone's responsibility to make the working environment as safe as possible. So if you are under that culture that a person is wearing this and everything, so if your culture is, I don't know how to put this, but then kind of like undermining or, I don't know this way.
It's
violating other people's culture. Let's, in the working space, let's all practice the working space. Let's all do the professionalism culture then, because eventually hiding under the shelter that someone is wearing a revealing shared. It's somehow actually.
So we're being judgmental.
We are being
and we're
judgmental
also-
to our fellow colleagues.
Yeah.
I totally agree, because what I'm wearing has nothing to do with how you should treat me in a professional
Exactly.
setting. And we know that, not a lot of places will have a dress code.
Of course.
So it's about understanding that what somebody wears has nothing to do with the way I treat them as well.
If probably it's making you uncomfortable, you can like put it in a writing or go to report it somewhere that okay, the way that person is dressing is it's offensive for me. Then that's
Than
how
to make it an excuse for-
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's better that way than to sexually harass a person and say, I'm going to say the way they are wearing, it was revealing they were inviting it.
Yeah.
We need to all work at the safe environment space, which is what we are busy emphasizing on. Imagine if it was your sister, your brother, or you as an individual, the way you would like to dress, you dress as much as possible the way you want. So let the other person as well dress the way they want as well.
Thank you for that. I think just the takeaway from that is also that it's important for production companies to have a dress code. I mean, we know we work in the TV and film industry in a very casual environment. If you have any complaints, talk at least to management, but that does not give you a right to harass another person. We have to have respect for each other, irrespective of what we may think is right for us.
Yeah.
And
There's a question on the floor.
So, there's another question. No, go ahead, Temuso, before I take the question.
Okay, I was going to say, like, if there is a scene on the set whereby there has to be that intimacy part, what are you going to say now? Because usually there will be showing like they have nude pictures and everything.
Yeah.
And then now, is it still going to be the same thing?
That's true,
okay.
yeah.
And now it's work. I have to do it because it's work. So that's why I'm saying that we can't hide under the impression that because someone is wearing like that,
Then they can be harassed. No, that's true. Thank you very much. There's a question from online. Yes, please pose the question.
Yes, Pearl Mononde is asking whether you are only assisting female, complainants, yes, instead of males, or is it for everyone?
It is actually for everyone. I guess the person that has posted that comment probably logged on later when I emphasized on it, particularly that even if it's 16 days of activism now, we are talking about women and children, but we as safety contact officers are there for men as well. It is for everyone, regardless of age, gender, or whatever reasons that a person can see. It is actually for everyone.
Yeah. And I think just to expand on that in terms of inclusivity, we know that we have a big problem of sexual harassment against our LGBTQI community as well, who don't always seem to have a box to tick when you have to say men or women. So I think it's important to say that it is an inclusive it's an inclusive intervention that is here for everybody across the spectrum.
Yes. Thank you on that. There's another question that comes up is, what if I observe harassment but don't want to get into trouble? I don't want to get involved. What do I do?
Okay, we emphasized on the issue of confidentiality, right? And then we also say that we do welcome people to report as the third party, because eventually it does impact on them as well. So how they report the matter, it's entirely up to them. They can still remain anonymous. We will do a thorough investigation into the matter on what has happened, and especially with the evidence that the evidence that they have provided us with on the matter. It will be helpful for us to investigate it even further. or they will be also helping us to make our job easier. Yes.
Okay. So you can remain anonymous even if you want to report sexual harassment, as
Of
long as
course.
you are able to provide, detailed information about the incident that you observed to assist the SCOs in investigating further and taking it forward. And so once it's reported, irrespective of who reports it, what do you then do? For instance, you are told that this is what is happening on set. What would then be the next step that you take as safety contact officers?
Okay. The first person that we will talk to is the victim. And it depends if the victim does want to speak or what. And then also the evidence itself is what will lead us to what was the next step of us taking into the matter, diving deeper into the matter, or how we, because I believe that cases are different. Even though right now I could say that we will be doing this and that, it depends on how the matter is on itself, especially if eventually it's concerning a minor. We know that eventually we have to concern the guardian or the parent of that minor and everything. So that is why I'm saying that with the help of the evidence and everything, it's what will lead us. It's going to give us a direction on how we will dive into the matter or investigate it even further.
Okay. With the, again, still on the reporting, at what point, some of the production companies do not necessarily have any code or a policy in place, at least a code of conduct in place on how people should conduct themselves. And you receive this report, how do you involve the production or the producer so that they can start to put processes in place to ensure that they don't have a recurrence of such incidents on set?
That is why we
Can I
have...
answer that as well?
Okay, go ahead, Pinky.
So what we do is we first talk to the production manager or whoever is in charge and find out if they do have any policy that is in charge. So if they don't have, we do encourage them to go on the SWIFT website and use their code of good practice. And we also then try and make them aware that there is a situation that's happening. Are they aware of it? And then we take it from there. If they are aware, we then sit down with them and try and find solutions on how exactly are we going to tackle this. Because at the end of the day, we want everyone to be happy in the workspace. We don't want anyone feeling uncomfortable and things like that. And I'm sure they don't want the same thing too. So we make sure that we speak to the person in charge and make sure that we make them aware that there's a situation that's happening and this is how we're going to do it and how we're going to resolve it.
Thank you, Pinky, for that. I know that Busubuntu had asked this question earlier. We now have the cost from our finance people in SWIFT post February. From February next year, the sexual harassment impact sessions will cost production companies 5,000 Rand per session, and that is for an hour of the impact session. And for each impact session will be 5,000 Rand. So we really encourage you at this time to take advantage of this free offer. Beyond that, we will be charging for each session. And as we said earlier, that we've gone all out to ensure that everyone is aware of these free sessions, impact sessions, sexual harassment impact sessions. That information is on our website, and really there won't be any excuse beyond that. And I think production companies really need to take it upon themselves to mitigate any risks and you know, in terms of just charges or cases that have potential to come up once the reporting starts. In fact, we've begun to see reporting come in to the line that has been shared on incidents of sexual harassment, and they will go further. I mean, the safety contact officers, as Temoso said, will take these complaints forward, and we really don't want situations where producers are not aware of what it is that
I think
will happen.
Yeah. Just to throw in another caveat is that it's not only about complaining or when something bad happens. It's also, I don't want to be accused of sexual harassment. I'm not sure about my behavior. It's advice. So you can also call into the line to get professional advice in terms of how to conduct yourself on set, in terms of understanding boundaries, in terms of if you're not sure how to be on set, if you're very afraid that somebody might falsely accuse you, they are there to also just give guidance around that as well. So it's there for that. Or if you just want to speak in terms of this happened to me, I don't necessarily want to report, I don't necessarily want formal action, but I just need to speak to somebody about this that has happened to me or about this that I saw. So it's also there for that counseling and just to release and take it off your back so that you don't have sleepless nights or being haunted by something. Yeah, so it's also just a counseling service around the issues that you might be facing on set with regards to sexual harassment or power dynamics or not knowing how to behave around certain people on set.
Okay. In terms of reporting, thank you, Sarah. In terms of reporting on the SMS line, what do people need to include? What do they say when they send messages to the SMS line, and how soon do you respond?
Responding from us is very quick because every day there is one of us is busy checking the lines, what is happening from the emails and also the SMSs. What I would advise everyone to, when they report, to do is, okay, if ever they need to be anonymous, is fine. They could just state that they are anonymous. Tell us where they are, the province that they are, because we are in different provinces, so that we can allocate someone that is closer to you, to wherever or whichever production company you're in, and also state the production company that you are working for, and then also the incident itself, and how would you like it to be resolved, or any advice if ever you need advice. So what kind of advice would you like from that?
Okay.
These are actually the basics that, okay, we will take it from there with the person on the entire process of what we really need. But these are the few tips that the people, everyone can report, including.
Thank you for that. So don't forget to include your province when you report, so that you can have someone closer to where you are to respond to either an inquiry, as Sarah had said, when you need advice, or to a complaint that you are lodging for the safety contact officers to address. What we also want to point out is that we have safety contact officers that speak different languages. So you are not limited to submitting your complaint only in English. Maybe the initial submission will be in English, but we have people that speak the various languages in the country, so they will also be in a position to assist you in your language. And this applies to, across South Africa, because we are not all comfortable with English. I would rather be saying izinto ngesizulu right now. But for the purposes of everyone that is online, we do conduct these sessions in English so that everyone can understand. But please do, the safety contact officers can assist in your language as well. Let's go back a little bit to the the process. I've now submitted, I've submitted a complaint to you on set, and we know that, you know, there are concerns around what people will say, because now we know that you're a safety contact officer. So obviously, if I come to you on set, I'm complaining about someone. So is there another way of addressing these things on set? How do you go about it if I want to report something to you on set, so that, you know, I feel comfortable and not, I think more than anything it's about whether.
This is where we can also include the production company, so that especially if we have never went there to do the impact session, is when that we will be advising them for us to go to these impact sessions to educate these people about the sexual harassment. And also, if ever we were able to do that, we still, let's say the person just needed the advice for people to be aware of their actions, and then they don't need any further steps for that in that meantime. Yes, we are able to go on the sets and educating all these people about sexual harassment, the impact of it, actually everything about it, especially that we will be having the insider from there who has a particular thing that probably we haven't touched on, especially now. And then, because we are aware that there are some incidents that people do encounter that we are unaware of, especially for us safety contact officers with our backgrounds. This industry is entirely new to us. We are aware of sexual harassment, but the way things happen in the industry is actually new. That is why we are saying that we are not even biased. We come as new people in sets and everything. We won't even be able to take sides and everything, because we don't really know much about the industry itself. What we come with is particularly something that is going on, but come as impartial and like new people. I don't know how to put it exactly. So for such kind of person, we would advise them, or we talk to their production company, that if we could come and do the presentation itself as well, educating everyone about the behavior for sexual harassment. Yes.
So are you able to assist people on set when they have questions? You've done the impact session, and I want to follow up with you. Are you able to assist on set, or do you advise people to contact you outside of the set? How does it work?
That is why we are saying that it's entirely up to a person the way they want. If they want to come up front with it, they are confident enough to say, I've experienced this and this and that. It's okay with us. And then if ever a person needs all this to be done in confidentiality and everything, they can go through the SMS line and everything and so forth. But it's entirely up to a person.
I see.
Yes.
So I'm just looking at, I don't have my phone anymore. The questions, I don't know if you still have any of the questions that have come through, frequently asked questions that have come through, Sarah, that you can pick up on so that they can be answered in this forum.
I think the other one that is quite rife is people saying, what if I'm falsely accused? What if I'm accused of sexual harassment and I need to plead my case that actually I'm innocent? So what happens in a case where there's someone countering saying it's a false accusation?
Sorry, okay. Pinky, can you still hear us?
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay. If you can take that question, just so that we can hear you again, and we don't forget about you in Durban.
Okay. So the question is, what happens if there is false accusation?
Yes.
So the answer to that will be our investigation as SCOs assesses everyone's version of the incident and are able to support and guide both parties and or the falsely accused if they choose to lay a claim. We highlight the best steps to take and we refer you to legal team should you wish to lay a criminal charge.
Okay. Yes, we don't just take what a person is saying. That is why we are saying that we do run a thorough investigation into the matter. So nobody should have that fear that I'll just be accused and everything, or someone takes advantage that I'm going to get back at that person. I'm just going to falsely accuse that person. Just know that we will utilize whatever that, every little detail that we have to investigate on the matter, so that the matter is resolved fairly as possible.
And when someone reports, how do they know that when they report, it's not going to end up on social media or in the public domain?
That is why I said that confidentiality is our priority. We are not people with social media and everything. Social media is for our own personal things, but when it comes to work and everything, we are abided by confidentiality. So it's up to a person if that person needs to take their matters to social media and everything. But from our side as safety contact officers, I can assure you 150% that it will never.
Pinky, I think you wanted to say something.
Yes, I just wanted to add on what the Moso are saying, that we make them speak to the person, let them know about confidentiality, that whatever that we're discussing will remain between us. So there's no need for third parties to be involved, like social media and things like that. So we make them comfortable so that they can be able to be vulnerable to us and share their story and know that they can trust us, because at the end of the day, we have to be trustworthy to the person so that they can be able to trust us with the information.
And furtherly, to elaborate much on the matter, with our SMS line and email line, after you are allocated a person that is closer to you to be tackling your case, it's actually going to be you and that person as SCOs. It's not something that we'll discuss among ourselves that, oh, you know what, Sarah is going through this and this and that. No, we don't do that. Like we are professional individuals that literally are aware of what is happening in the industry and everything. So, and we are there to protect everyone, not to expose them. Exactly.
Yeah. I guess to follow up on that question, I mean, it's good to know that you're also dealing with professionals that are social workers, and just by virtue of your profession, confidentiality is part of, I suppose, your ethical, yes. Exactly. You know, it's an ethics thing for social workers professionally, because you will not only be discredited as a safety contact officer, but just in terms of your profession as a social worker.
Yes.
The
council itself is.
Yeah, by the Council of Social Workers can disbar, I don't know whether it's called disbar or what, but it's important to note that. Just as a follow-up question, I mean, part of the concern is that you are part of SWIFT, and that maybe Sarah and myself may be privy to what you are doing. What is your response to that? What is your response to people being maybe afraid that because this is a SWIFT connection, then it means that the SWIFT members would know about what is going on?
Pinky, would you like to go through with the question first?
Pinky? Yes.
Okay.
Ma'am Zanele, to answer your question, I would say that.
Go ahead.
Even though we come from SWIFT, but we are impartial. We are confidentiality meaning that SWIFT does not make decisions for us. We as SCOs, we're the one that are tackling the issues of sexual harassment. We're the one that's dealing with people's problems. So we don't run to them for information on how to handle a certain case and things like that. But we do things our way professionally, as we were told in that training as well, because we did training with Tokiso in providing a legal framework and things like that. So no one should be afraid that maybe Sarah will know about their story. It doesn't work like that. Sarah, Mamzanele, they got nothing to do with us making decisions for our clients. So we do things our own way, making sure that we do best for our clients.
Okay, thank you for that. I mean, it is something that is very important for everyone to note that SWIFT are the facilitators of the process. We started with this initiative. We will see it through to its natural conclusion when it becomes an independent body within the industry that is not necessarily aligned to SWIFT. This is only part of the pilot project which we are driving with our partners, with our funders, and we are setting up an interim ombud in the industry to deal specifically with sexual harassment, and eventually to have an independent ombud where we also have a section of the ombud that deals with sexual harassment and any other form of discrimination in the industry. So I think that's something that we need to mention, that ultimately this will be an independent body. We are just now setting it up and running the pilot, and we'll hand it over at some point. Sarah, I don't know if you have any other question that has been asked previously, or if there are any questions that are coming through online that we can address. And apart from questions, I think what is important is that we get input from the industry in terms of what has been presented. What do you see as a potential maybe problem or challenge that we haven't seen? Remember, we're still in the pilot phase. Things that you are picking up as you heard or you listened to the presentation. We will be doing more and more of these sessions so that the industry will become familiar with the Safety Contact Officer, a pilot project. We've done a few, and there are more. We'll be doing a roadshow on this thing, going to the different provinces. But as we said, this will end at the end of January, so we don't have much time. But it's important that we get industry buy-in, and as this is to serve and service, or rather service the industry. This is not for the benefit of SWIFT. Of course, we are part of the industry, but this was done in order to create a safe working environment for the industry as a whole, so that we can realize our full potential without constantly looking over our shoulders, or being in fear of someone or on set, or being in fear of speaking out on set, or being victimized. No, we want an environment where we can really work in a safe environment and be able to do the work that we have been hired to do on set. Any other question, anything else?
So questions come in asking, what does SCO stand for? So please say it again.
Safety Contact Officers.
So I think we had to frame this around, we didn't want to say sexual harassment, we didn't want to, you know what I mean? I think it was important to have a phrase that speaks about safety on set, that speaks to protection, that speaks to ensuring professionalism on set. So I think Safety Contact Officer sort of encompasses the wellness, the psychological, physical awareness of everybody on set. So it's a Safety Contact Officer.
Yeah. And by the way, we've been asked about this name because we have safety officers on set that deal with actual safety, so that nothing falls on you when you are on set. So, I mean, it is something as part of this pilot project we're looking into, but we are calling them Safety Contact Officers because it is about contact, it is about being on set together, and it is about how we interact on set, and that's where the contact came into the phrase that we use or the title that we use for the individuals that we have appointed as part of this pilot, who beyond this pilot will be continuing with the work once everything has been what's the word now? Bonke mase kume ngohlelo.
Exactly. Sometimes the English runs away.
Yeah, no, it definitely runs away.
I think what Mamzalel is really saying is like once we've consolidated, once we've got industry input.
Yes,
we've got industry input in terms of the way forward. How do you envisage this working? In what ways is it practical? In what ways would it not work? In what ways can we tweak it and adjust it so that it's actually serving what its purpose is? So I think after that, that's where really everybody needs to come in post-February in terms of how do we utilize this so that we see an eradication, and in the end, we won't even need these people on sets anymore. But it's just, again, to emphasize and to let people know that help is available and there is somewhere to go. You don't have to feel alone. You don't have to feel discriminated against. There are ways in which we're trying to structure this and make it operational so that it's a working and operational body.
Yeah, absolutely. I have one more question. I don't know if another question has come up online. Temoso, you mentioned the tough process, and I think this is post-reporting any incident on set. And I think we do maybe sometimes undermine the stress, the pressure that comes with reporting an incident and the fear of what then happens once you have reported an incident. What kind of support, and this is a question to both you and Pinky, what kind of support do you offer me once I have reported an incident to at least make me feel confident that something will happen, to make me feel safe? So, yeah.
Okay.
Can we start with you, Pinky?
Yes. Part of us being SCOs, we facilitate the process, meaning we're there for you physically and emotionally. We take you through steps to make sure that you're doing okay. Once you've come forward to report, we make sure that we understand, we put ourselves in your situation and make sure that we understand your pain, we understand what you're going through. So the process is really a long journey, if I must put it that way, because we don't just leave you just like that after you have reported. We make sure that we're there for you every step of the way until you are 100% satisfied that you are okay now. Even if it means we refer you to referring you to other parties that are also going to be helpful to you. We also do that. So the process is a long journey because we make sure that we're always there for you 100% to make sure that you're okay.
Okay. Okay. It's true what Pinky is saying, and also because of our, for instance, in my side, from my social work background experience that I have, we have been working with people that are vulnerable, are considered to be vulnerable, in some situations. We do have activities, we have theories that help us understand that person better, and also activities that do help them to come out of that situation, to enable them in finding their strength again. We have things like the strength perspectives. Now I'm getting back to school, and also through empathy.
And
empathy
empowerment
is
as well.
Exactly. Thank you, Pinky. Also, empathy is one of the biggest tool that we have been using in social work that is able to assist people, and also work related. We are able, if ever there is that fear in the workspace that, okay, the production company, everyone is you are being isolated and everything. We are able to talk with the production company, especially the executive there, that this person, could they please not lose their job because of such kind of incident and everything. So for the person to fear that they'll lose their job, I must say that it's a guarantee that with us, because of what we are having and the backup that we are having for that person, they won't lose their job because of reporting a case that they were sexually harassed. And also, if the person needs further referrals, like in case of rape and so forth, we are able to broker that person into necessary services, such as the SAPS, and also for legal, what's this?
Yeah.
For legal
assistance, yeah.
assistance as well, and how the process on how they will do it and so forth. So that is what we offer as safety contact officers in such kinds of incidents.
So you're talking about a situation that is often very delicate when you're dealing with the SAPS in terms of reporting rape. So how do you help in that specific incident of having to report? If the incident, for instance, is rape, and I have to report
Okay,
that case.
with rape cases, usually we as safety contact officers, or let's just say social workers as a whole, as a body, there are social workers that work that site. So in our site, we just fill in the incident report on how the client came in. It's kind of like a supporting evidence of the person, how they were, their emotions and everything, just to support whatever they will be the case as a whole. And then there are people that are specifically trained to be dealing with such cases.
Okay.
So we are not necessarily dealing with it entirely. It's just we are kind of like the first step. That for a person, that's okay, fine, because they need to be doing the J88 forms there and everything. It's a process, but then there are people that are dealing with that.
Yeah. Also, you just assist on your side in terms of the process and
Yes.
helping them through. Okay, thank you very much for that, Temuso.
Thank you.
I had one other question that I had seen. Sarah, maybe you can speak a little bit about the partnerships that SWIFT has formed in order to support the safety contact officers on the psychosocial side and as well as legal.
Absolutely. So in terms of the psychosocial support, the South African Depression and Anxiety Group, SADAG, has set up the line for us, so the 43101 number that's been set up by SADAG, or the South African Depression and Anxiety Group. We're also in talks, we mentioned an ombud earlier, so we are in talks in terms of creating a body that will be able to actually legislate, a body that will actually be able to focus on the entertainment industry in terms of the legislative and legal repercussions of certain cases. So those are the other bodies we've spoken to as well. I'm not sure if there's particular ones that you want me to speak to, that those are the main ones just in terms of operationalizing this process so that people actually have a feedback mechanism and a reporting mechanism to be able to go to.
Yeah. No, I think that will suffice for now. The only thing that I can say is that as SWIFT, we are also working very hard and have identified some legal organizations that are prepared to come on board pro bono to assist. But we will, of course, advise at the right time once the necessary, agreements are in place to assist on the legal side, because we do appreciate that one of the factors that discourage people from pursuing cases of complaints on sexual harassment is really that they cannot afford to get lawyers to represent them in such cases. So we are working very hard to ensure that there is assistance pro bono for the cases that come forward, and we will make the necessary announcements at the right time. But that doesn't mean that we can't take any cases forward. It's just that the formal agreements have not been finalized as yet, and we are working on them. I think on our side, that would be as far as we take you this morning in terms of the Safety Contact Officer pilot project that we are working on, that is currently underway, that we are inviting you to participate in, to give us input, and also to give us guidance. As we said, this is not a SWIFT thing. SWIFT is driving and facilitating it. But the aim is for this to be an industry-wide program that services the industry as a whole. And we know that we have been waiting for this to happen. We have been educating. We have been creating awareness. We've been saying, find your voice. Now we're saying, yes, this is what you can practically do. This is where you can find assistance with the safety contact officers that are in the 3 provinces, KZN, Gauteng, and Western Province. And we haven't included the other provinces as yet because this is a pilot project, but the ultimate goal and ultimate aim is that this will be a countrywide program where individuals in the industry, irrespective of the size of the production that you are taking part in, you can be able to be assistants and you can have access to safety contact officers, whether on set or on the production itself, or via an SMS line, a helpline that will be set up later on, or through the portal, in whichever way that you would want to get either advice or have the safety contact officers come through to conduct workshops, or you want to lay a complaint. So we thank you, everyone, for joining us. We thank the National Film and Video Foundation for the platform as we start a very crucial period in our country where we are looking at 16 days of activism against gender-based violence and sexual harassment, which is more prevalent in our industry. This is about conscientizing ourselves. This is about participating in the process of eradicating the scourge and making sure that we all are able to work and function in an environment that is conducive for us to do so. Thank you to my fellow panelists. Thank you, Sarah, so much for being here. Thank you, Demoso, and we are looking forward to all the work. And thank you, Pinky. And thank you to all the other safety contact officers, Nomfundo, Zasha, Joy in Connie, in Newcastle, as well as, I'm forgetting one more person.
No, it was Connie.
No, it was Connie, yeah, there are 6. And thank you very much for availing yourself and for being there for the industry as professionals, bringing your experience, your expertise to this industry, which is much needed, and for assisting us in fighting against sexual harassment in the workplace. Thank you for your attendance with us here. And thank you to all the technical team. And special thanks to GIZ as well, who are supporting this pilot. Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, who have also been with us and seeing us through this initial period of developing this project. And wishing you a good day. Please continue to send through your comments, your input, your suggestions, your criticism, constructive criticism, please, to comms@swiftsa.org.za. Siyaleboga. Siyabonga. Siyabonga. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Pinky. Siyaleboga.
That's a new one.
That's a new one. I heard both of them. Okay, thank you, everyone.